Hi guys, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 1 of the APAT show. It is Super Sunday, of course. We've done this 52 times. We're going to do it all over again. Fantastic. Tonight's guest is one Mr. Tristan Chaplin. Triplin to Leigh and I think we can say that, Leigh. Triplin. Triplin is, of course, a very popular APAT member, winner, all-round good guy, big Man United fan. I'm not going to hold that against him, although we might talk a little bit about football tonight. So I'm really looking forward to the episode. It's going to be a huge night for squads as well. Lots of you guys in contention for prizes. So I'll stop rabbiting on, and Tristan, Leigh, and myself will be back right after this. Leigh, we're back, and I've got to warn you, Leigh. Right, I've got to warn you. It's Season 2, Episode 1, so we've got to do something different. So we've added a bit of a video element in. So you're on camera, Leigh.
This is scary stuff, isn't it, really, to be honest? Yeah, so season 2, Episode 1, we've blown the budget on a couple of webcams, and pretty much we've also done the rest of the budget on the rider for the guests for Episode 1. There's nowhere else to go after this, but anyway. Welcome to the show, Tristan. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Cheers, Leigh. Evening, Des. Evening, everyone.
Do you know, it's lovely to have you on, Tristan, but I'm sort of thinking now we should have bought you a webcam as well. Leigh, we hadn't figured in webcams for the guests. But you won't see this, Tristan. You won't see this. Well, you will do on delay, right, with everybody else. You see it on delay. If you've got the stream up elsewhere, but your face, it's like you're a rose between two brighter roses, I think is how I'd like to explain this. Leigh, would you agree? Two brighter roses?
Very much so. I did describe it when you showed it to me earlier. It reminded me of something from Game of Thrones. I wasn't quite sure what, but...
Well, I'll tell you what, what can I say? But Leigh, you're looking away from the camera a lot. Are you camera shy, or did we just not plan
No. So as I explained to you, so I've got this screen on this computer here, and then what they've all seen our setups at home. So this is that bit. And then this screen is where I've got about a dozen windows open with everything that's going on tonight, because it's a Sunday night, Des, so there's always loads happening. So.
Tell us then. Let's do that before we get into Tristan talk. What's happening?
Well, it's a little bit weird to start with, because it's like party poker. It's all gone a little bit quiet. Like it's like the WPT has gone. They've packed up. They've moved out of town. And so we're very much focusing on APAT at the moment. And obviously they've got a new schedule out as well, new daily tournaments. So that's all pretty exciting. But Sunday night for us is a Sunday roller. We're actually heads up in the Sunday roller at the moment. Yanni versus Alan Summers. Yanni's got a 2-1 chip lead. They're playing for about $400 up top there. So that's had 35 runners tonight. And obviously they've been satelliting in all week.
Fantastic.
And we've hit 100 runners on a Sunday night in the poker squads. Which is first time in a couple of weeks. I think we've got to triple figures. But there's all sorts of teams in with the mix.
Fantastic.
With squads. Nye is already bust in 54th. He was leading the MVP. He's the nearly man of poker squads. And Iron Venables is. Will he be able to hold on? Will he have banked enough points to hang on to the MVP? Can his team finally get a poker squad?
It's going to happen. The poker gods are going to smile on an iron tonight, because in the chat box, he said, "Isn't Des older than Leigh?" Leigh showing much more grey hair there. Nye, I'm up for you tonight. He's a good guy. Right, so we do have a few people in the chat box, but because, get this, right, despite the budget spend and everything else, but despite the videos and all of that stuff, there's a Facebook issue with scheduling posts. So we weren't able to schedule the event in advance. And in all of the technical hoo-ha of getting it started, I might have missed the start of the comments. So you might be able to help a bit with this, Leigh, but I'm going to tell you what I have got. I'm starting with Massimiliano, which is one of the great first names. I feel so, small in comparison because mine is just Des. But Massimiliano Fumagalli says top. That's it, just top. Peter Wigglesworth said,
good. Yeah.
Is that Brian Blessed? I mean, I assume, he's talking about Tris, right? He's got to be talking about Tris. Anairan we've talked about, but I'm just going to say it again because here it is. Isn't Des older than Leigh? Leigh showing much more grey hair there. There's a lot of smiles and tears, probably more tears than smiles at the end of the night.
I'd just like to point out, how many lockdown haircuts have you had so far, Des?
I tell you what, I have had 2. I had my second at the start of the week. And you know what? I sat with the guy, right? It was like going back to Northern Ireland in the Troubles in the late 60s. He's got all sorts of equipment on to protect me, right? And, I said, give me my pre-lockdown 2 haircut, please, because I've learned from lockdown 1. You haven't had a haircut at all, have you?
No. I got my haircut the week before lockdown, preempted what was going to come, and I am now working towards what I am calling the scouse. For
not
anybody
a full scouse, not a full scouse though.
No, but
just
for
a half scouse.
Anybody that met Scouse probably 18 months ago, I reckon, something like that.
Full scouse.
That was a full-on scouse. So I'm going for it. It used to be a Matt Dale, but I don't know whether you've seen Facebook today.
I have. He's had it shorn off. It's come off.
He's had the whole lot's gone.
Shorn.
Yeah. He said 8.5 months that took him to grow that, and he's had the whole lot back. I think he got his French wrong what she said apparently was, "Do you want me to take some more off?" And he thought she said, "Is that fine?" And eventually, she very much down to the bare bones.
No, as I heard it, she said, "Is that fine?" And then he said, "1." I think he meant to say fine, but he said 1, and she went back to work on him. So Matt, you got to see Matt's pictures, right? If you've got the Facebook, go see Matt's pictures. So who else have we got here? Gary Holland says, Des is ginger. I'm taking that as another compliment because I'm older than you, Leigh.
I'm assuming that's maybe somebody that's never met you or seen you in real life, or
I've always
been
been
a while
ginger.
since you've been at. It's been a while since you've been at an APAT event, though. I mean, Tris,
you know.
when did you last see Des at an APAT event?
I'm just like, I'm in the back office now. I do the management, right? I run the reports. That's what I do, Leigh, right? I take the supplier out once a year and beat them up. That's what I try to do. Peter Wigglesworth is there. Danny Strange is there. And mysteriously, 3 other people. Right, I think 3 other people are with Peter Wigglesworth and Danny Strange, according to my phone. Joe Chilmid is there. Hi to you, Joe. Colin Thinsey McCarthy, well, it's Sunday night, right? Where else would he be? Martin Palmer is there. Jeff Talbot, Ewan Ralston are all watching. Now, that's who I have on my phone, Leigh, but I can see there's at least 18 people watching right now. There's got to be a lot more than that.
You're seeing as many messages as I am on Facebook.
Is that
at
it?
the moment? That's the lot at the moment.
Well, unless people engage a little more, I'm going to start taking items of clothing off. Right? So
please switch the video off first, yeah?
Start to engage. Start to talk to us. So, Leigh, we've got Tris. Is there anything left to talk to Tris about? We had a deep and meaningful conversation with him the last. Should we just get rid of Tris and do the video thing, just you and I?
Now, well, what I want to talk to Tris about, because obviously we've wanted to get Tris on maybe for the past couple of weeks, but he's been quite busy playing a bit of poker. So you were heavily involved in playing some of the W Coupe, and did you play any of the World Series, Tris?
Yeah, we did, Leigh. We played a few. Alas, we only cashed in 2 events, unfortunately, but it was good fun. I enjoyed it. And the W Coupe was last week, but no real big success. Actually, took a bit of a pasting, but it happens.
Well,
onwards and upwards.
Were you doing that as part of Blue Blood, Tris?
No.
On your own dime, as they say. That's what the trendy kids say. Oh, that's tough. That is tough. Anything else planned? Any more of W Coupe, or are we sailing into sort of the more important championship, which is of course the APAT Worlds, which hopefully will happen at some point later this year? Is that you saving your form for that now?
I hope so. I think we're looking a bit quiet, as Leigh says the W Coup's finished, the World Series is finished.
Is W Coop over?
Yeah, that finished last weekend.
Yeah, that
Shit.
was last weekend. Yeah.
I thought that used to go on for like, 6 weeks or something.
They'll probably bring a new one in
How bizarre.
weekend.
Des, are you hearing Tristan right? Because Pete
Well, I'm
Wilsworth
hearing him,
says
but
he's a
he's-
bit quiet.
I
but,
get a sense that he might be about 6 feet back from his mic. Can you get a bit closer to your mic, Tris? Because I've got all my knobs turned up, if you like.
How are we now, guys? We good?
You're just far too nice. Just be aggressive. Right, let's just say that late equaliser against Brighton hadn't happened. Or the late winner. It was a late winner. It was a bloody late penalty. Of course it was.
So
Get
Gary
aggressive.
Hollands said, can we discuss the Brighton versus Man United? I actually want to discuss the whole. It's been the strangest of Premier League weekends so far with results and the way games have gone on. It's just been insane. Actually, since it started back up, was it last weekend they broke the record for the number of goals in a weekend?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's good though, isn't it? But don't worry, normal service will be resumed tomorrow evening as the mighty Reds take on the Gunners in a fixture that typically wields a lot of goals, most of them coming from Liverpool.
Oh dear. It already feels like the competition are already wanting to gift a second two in a row to Liverpool.
What happened to City?
How can a team like Man City be grumbling about only having 13 fit first team players and no strikers? It's just insane.
Madness.
We are going to have to do something about Tristan's volume, Des. I don't know how we're going to do.
Let me just have a look. You guys just talk amongst yourselves. I'll work magic
Why
as I
didn't
do.
you flick the table up?
Tristan,
with,
do your
which
thing
is
now.
heads-
We okay now, guys?
There we go.
Oh, that's better. That's much better.
That's good.
The only problem is I think I'm hearing you as well, Lee.
We are going to have to do something about Tristan's volume. Oh, who's got
I know what's happened. I'm going to have to turn the stream off. That's what I'm going to have to do because I'm bringing Tristan in on the same phone as I'm bringing in the chat box.
Oh, just switch the.
But that's
switch that off on
okay
your phone, yeah.
because I'll just grab another phone. I can use this one or I can use this one. There's another one. I'll figure it out. Yeah, there
It's
we go.
useful to know if anybody wants to know where Des lives and when he's not in the house. If you fancy getting a new phone,
To be honest, if you could take some of this crap away, these are like old generation iPhones. But I can bring up Facebook, I think. So that will get me back into the chat box. So carry on amongst yourselves. But can you guys hear Tristan now? If he speaks.
I suppose it would be best if I say something now. Actually, wouldn't it?
yeah, it would help. Yeah.
There we go. Oh, it's not easy.
So I'm just watching the Sunday roller play out. Yanni's now got nearly a 4-1 chip lead on Alan. Ace Queen versus King Queen, which was held. What's still going on? Who's still got volume in the background?
That's me. Don't worry. I'm just trying to. There we go. We're sorted now, guys.
Stuff.
Right, we're good.
We're good now. Let's carry on.
Yeah.
Right, let's do it. Shall I put up the poker?
Well, yeah, go on, because we say these guys are playing. They've been playing a good heads up now for about 20 minutes, actually, in the Sunday roller. So as I said, Yanni's got a bit of a chip lead now on the Welshman Alan Summers, and
There we go.
see if
Poker's
you
up.
can see this out. And don't worry, Gary. We will come back to discuss more about the football because, it's been a crazy weekend so far. That's for sure.
Where did young Natalie finish in the roller?
Who? Sorry.
Where did Natalie finish? Because she busted me.
Natalie?
Finished ninth.
Pretty good.
She finished ninth, but that's okay. Don't you worry about Natalie. She's had a pretty good poker weekend.
All right.
She messaged me last night to say she'd won the one of the bounty tournaments on Party.
Very nice.
The $22 4K guarantee for $1,000 last night. So very well done to Natalie. So yeah, she's had a good weekend. Not so happy with the football result last night, but
Oh, well, that can't be helped.
no, I had a great little bet on last night though, Tris. So it was the four Premier League games, and there would be 2 goals in the first half of each of them at 66-1. So 4 games. So we were 3 down with just Burn. I mean, when you're going, you're 3 down, you want goals, and the 4th game is Burnley versus Southampton at 7 or 8 o'clock on a Saturday night. You're really looking for that cash out button, aren't you?
Hell yeah.
But I did warn Natalie and Adam. I did message them and say, look, I probably jinxed a 0-0 here for you guys, but stuck with it. And of course, Saints scored after 5 minutes. I thought, well, game on. This is going to be. It's got to happen, and of course, it stayed. It was 1-0, wasn't it? That was it. So, and that's it for the roller. Ace 8 versus Ace Queen. They all get it in pre, and Yanni's Ace Queen holds. So Yanni picks up $396 for Sunday roller win for him. Alan Summers in second place for $260, and Grant Anderson was in third for $161. Scouse got him in cash in that as well in fifth, $73. So very well done to all of you guys that played that. It's a good little tournament. That still runs well, Tris, on a Sunday night. You can qualify in during the week. Say it's normally a good $400 up top for the winner.
Yeah, we managed to. Unfortunately, I had I had my mother's birthday today, so I went round the sisters. There was a few of us, and we had a meal, and I just managed to sneak back and just beat the Lane Ridge. So,
that's a shame.
Just managed to sneak into that.
Tris, you're still playing here.
I know. I'm still in.
Lee, did we mention that Tris is still playing? We haven't booked him yet.
I didn't want to say anything because I wanted to just leave him to it. He's just quietly sat in 18th of 29 players remaining doing his thing. So, I didn't want to. Oh, very nice. I didn't want to make too big a deal. I mean, remember, this is season 2 now. The bocking was season 1. Yes, we're well past that season.
Okay, well, listen, what we've done is we put Tris's table up. So,
well, that's it. That's kiss of death on that.
Perhaps he could talk us through his hands as he's playing them. Let's see how that works out for him.
Yeah, we did have a lot of chips early on. Actually, we had a ridiculous pot with aces, and then the second level, we've been fine really. Oh, blimey! Right, I picked up a hand.
Oh, hello. Don't say that. Don't say that too early, Tris. You are on the stream. Everybody, Gary Hollands, we know on your left is listening.
Yeah. This is a showbox. Oh my God.
Here we go. He's probably like ace 3 or something, Lee, isn't it? He's using us now. He's using us.
Ace king. Oh, he's running to aces. He's going to need a king.
Yeah, that didn't take long, Lee, did it?
Wow.
There he is. Gone.
Good to know. Oh no, we've left him with chips. We've left him with chips.
Not our fault then. Not our fault.
He's got about a third of a blind left. That's all good.
Took half a hand, Lee. Not even a full hand. It took half a hand.
That's how good we are, really.
Oh, hello. He's hit here.
Oh, that's true. Oh.
Yeah, there we go.
We're back in the game. This
is season 2. Honestly. New things happen.
We've got 5 of them and we'll be all right.
So listen, Lee, and Iron is saying in the chat box, only Yanni left from the top 10 in the MVP.
Oh,
so
yeah. You wouldn't be surprised to know that the guy that's top of the MVP is very much paying attention to who's left in the tournament.
Quite right, he is. Quite right.
Which is what you would expect, that's for sure. And obviously, this is gathering up tokens for next weekend's medal weekend, because we're on another medal weekend next weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So
3 big blinds, guys.
Oh, see, this is how easy it is, Tris. This
is up to 27 grand. How's this happened? He was at 2 a minute ago.
I'm gonna fold here.
Shoved again into Gary. Queen 7 against 9-6 for Gary. Actually, Gary flopped an up and down straight draw, but missed. So skill game, Tris. Hey,
Oh yeah.
He's just folded on 27k with only 2 players left in. Lee, he's playing tight now. He's gone into Frank Bailey mode.
Isn't he?
We're going.
He's got chips. There's no need to.
Oh, here we go. Here we go. They're in. It's like a campaign to free our guest.
She can't really fold, can she?
Hey, Jude. Oh, here we go.
Oh,
he's hit 9.
9. Oh, there's a 5 to make it fruity. And that's it.
Oh, he's doubled up
doubled again.
again.
We're destroying the
Wowzers.
table, Lee. Destroying it.
Imagine if he'd have had chips to start with when he went on this run. It would have been incredible. So just having a look, and yeah, it looks like
There we go.
oh, he's all in again, and he's got a caller with Gary again.
Oh, he's ahead.
Perfect flip.
He's still ahead. Look at that.
Oh, dodged the diamonds.
Oh,
And he
he's
does
taken
dodge
it.
the diamond.
Oh, my word. He's up to
Oh.
153. He didn't have that many when we started. He had 180, Lee.
So that's from 3,000 chips
About
to
2,600.
150,000 chips in about 5 minutes. That's incredible.
Now, guys.
I'll tell you,
You could actually do some proper damage now, couldn't you?
I can see this video going viral, Lee, if he keeps it up. We might want to go back in video. Fame and fortune is ahead of us.
That was a crazy spin.
Wow.
Like I said, one more and we're back in it.
I'd love to say you had good hands as well, but the only good hand you had was dominated by aces.
True, Lizzie.
That's all right. We take that. We will take that. Honestly, it's like watching Man United play football.
If it feels that way, I must
Oh,
admit.
it feels like the hop, skip, and jump of Bruno Fernandes as he's nicking his next penalty.
Oh, that's harsh.
That was a good penalty.
That is harsh.
I tell you what, joking aside, the penalty, I don't know what the penalty meter is showing this season versus every other season start, but there's been a lot of them, hasn't there?
Oh, did you see the one against Spurs today?
Yes. Well, I saw it in replay.
Farcical. I mean, as much as you just wanted it to happen because you knew Mourinho would go mental about it, and it makes good TV. That's ridiculous.
Oh, it's crazy.
And how they can give that as a penalty and then not overturn the Chelsea one that came off Havertz's hand, but they then said now was too far before the goal going in. But it still hit his hand in the box. I mean, you know, I've completely lost track of what's right or wrong with it.
It sounds like everybody's up in arms over the whole thing, so I'm sure it'll be relooked at. Just, you know, because the rule is okay. It's just the interpretation of what's acceptable and what isn't. It is gone out.
No, I'm not even sure the rule's okay. I think that's actually the problem.
But I don't think they need to change the rule. I think what they can do is to say obvious stuff like, you know, for one thing, if the defender isn't looking at the ball and he's within, like, you know, a couple of arms length, it's just it's ludicrous. There's a lot of things they can rule out quickly.
Dyer had his back to the play. I mean, I don't quite see how, you know, he's supposed to do anything there. And actually, I didn't think the Havertz one the night before was that long before. You know, it was in the same play really. That he but of course last season, if anything touches a hand in the build up to a goal, the goal gets disallowed.
Listen, Lee. I wanted some stats, right? I wanted some stats, and there's no better man to give stats than today's happiest punter, and that is one Richard Prue, who's in the chat box.
You knew. I was going to say.
I didn't know, but you know, there is a man that is happy tonight, right? That's all that I will say. And he tells us that 20 penalties in 25 games, 15-8 a penalty in each of tomorrow's matches. Absolutely. And to be honest, I bet you get bloody good odds of saying that pen will come in the 90th minute or later.
Yeah.
It's just insane.
Or the 100th minute, for example. Ever seen a game where a goal's been scored after the full-time whistle? Or the full-time whistle
to be honest,
blown twice?
I put a post up on Twitter earlier on today. Got a ton. It got about 200 likes. I just simply said, Brighton have just equalised at the Amex, 9-9. It's 9-9 as we speak. Got about 200 likes in minutes. Richard, lovely to have you in the chat box. My old friend. You know, please stay with us. Stay with us for a wee while. Call in. We'd love to have you on the chat. Just call in. Right, should we get Richard on? If he says yes in the chat box, we'll add him to Chris.
Yes, we'll add him to the call.
That would be
easy
insane.
enough to do.
Oh, we're all in, guys.
He's had a busy week as well, Rich. He's done a very cracking job
insane.
with collecting. So Tris is all in with ace 10, ace king for Ed, and
there it is.
That's going to be the end.
There it is,
of
Tris.
the tripling. I'm not even sure how far we were on. It was more than a quadruple up. I'm not sure where we were at with it, but
We were doing well. We were doing well there.
nothing wrong with the shove there, or the move there with the ace 10, though, is there? I don't think, really.
I think that 10 bigs. I think it's
It
pretty
looks
standard,
pretty.
really.
Looks nice.
Yeah.
At that point, I'd have said.
I mean, yeah, it's just unfortunate to be barreling into the ace king there on the button. I mean, who has ace king on the button at that point, really? Yeah.
Gary, listen, Gary Hollins is still out there. I mean, he's playing the poker, right? He's doing okay. He's doing okay in the poker, but he's just intrigued by the whole Brighton thing. So he says, I don't understand it anymore. Tell me why Brighton penalty was overturned and today's weren't. I'm not bitter. He sounds bitter to me, Lee. He sounds very upset, and I can't blame him. But by all accounts, Brighton played really well yesterday. They hit
they
bar.
they were just insane.
Yeah, they hit the bar more often than APATers in Vienna, right? That time.
Yes, I mean, United, we deserved absolutely nothing from the game yesterday. And to be honest, if we'd have been played 2, lost 2, and a kind of a -4 or -5 goal difference after 2 games, as a United fan, you'd have to say, well, that was exactly what we deserved.
Yeah.
Completely, just really, we have not started. All right, there's reasons why we talk. We briefly
Can we talk about that a little bit? Because I mean, I'm intrigued because United, arguably were certainly a top 2, top 3 form team in the second half of the season, right? They looked very, very strong. Yeah. They were playing well, scoring lots of goals. Now, there's some suggestion that maybe they've, you can say what you will about, the closed season and the lack of prep, and I think that'll be the main bone of contention. But there's also a suggestion that maybe they're burning some of the young lads out. Are you buying that?
Yeah. I think there's a little bit of that. I think the reality of it is that our first 11, when kind of fit and on their game, are a competitive first 11. I think what sits below it is pretty average, as was seen against Luton in the cup during the week, where to be honest, again they were pretty poor. It wasn't an enjoyable game to watch. I do feel for them a little bit, because obviously, and I think it was actually said by, it might have even been it was Andros Townsend on TalkSport last week, and he made the point that he said, when United were playing their final Europa League game, Crystal Palace were going back to start pre-season training the following day. And they had four they had 4 pre-season games. They obviously played the first game of the season, which United missed out on. But of course, what people don't understand, well, the United they've had their 30-day rest. Well, of course, there was an international break in between all of that as well.
Yeah.
But now I know all clubs have got that as an issue, but
to be honest,
it doesn't
the
really
international
feel like
break,
they've had a chance to get started.
Yeah, the international break was probably a little bit of a saving grace, I would have said, if anything, for United, despite everything, because I think the most important thing coming out of any form of preseason is to get a couple of games. You need to get match fit, right? United only had that game against Villa, whereas Liverpool had 3 or 4 games, including the Community Shield. So they had a bit of running in their legs, but I would argue they weren't fully fit for Leeds United on opening day. United have had 1 game, and I think they look very, very rusty. But I guess the danger is that people have turned on them, and the pressure's come onto them in a big way very, very quickly. There doesn't seem to have been a great deal of
I think you take
allowance.
I mean, I think you just take the fact that the Brighton result. You just say, thank goodness for that. Obviously, we've got Brighton again on Wednesday night in the League Cup again.
Okay. Where is
the
that
4th
one?
round of the League Cup?
Back in Brighton?
I think it's back at Brighton again.
Chance for Gary to get some revenge there, I think. Get it out of your system, Gary.
I mean, the scary thing, I guess, for United fans, and Tris, I don't know what your view is on this, but we're now 8 days away from the transfer window closing, so it's a week tomorrow that it shuts. And there's a genuine possibility here. We might not sign anyone else. Yeah. Seriously, we might not sign else because I don't see the Jadon Sancho deal necessarily happening, and I don't see anybody else on the radar that you're going to go who A, the club would want to release, and B, United would improve the United squad. and C, that is not going to be a ridiculous price where Ed Woodward's going to go, I'm not prepared to pay that
Yeah.
because in the current climate, that's just ridiculous. There really isn't a huge list of candidates out there that you'd go, oh yeah, we could sign them and them and them. You know, we talk about that we need apparently, you know, we want another fullback and we want a centre back and we maybe need another striker and a right winger. And it's, well, who's actually out there that's going to, you know, is going to massively improve the squad that's available and wants to come at not a ridiculous price, because you pay your United tax. The minute you're interested in a player, they basically stick a fee on. I mean, I'm sure Mr. Prue, if he's assuming he's still out there listening, is still laughing at what we paid for Maguire last year. You know,
Harry the
insane.
fridge.
Yeah, just insane. It really is. Yeah.
But you know, he's not very good though. Why? I mean, I didn't even think he was, you know, that great at the time. But you can't look. You can't. It's hindsight.
Difficult though. But you're difficult. You say that because it's you've got to say, well, he was, you know, he's in England international. He's a regular in the England team. You know, he was putting in decent performances for a Leicester side that were doing well. The price was silly. If you compare the price to Virgil, you know, it bears no resemblance whatsoever. But this is the trouble with a lot of it, is what you do. I mean, crikey, if you'd have thought yesterday at halftime in the West Brom Chelsea game, you'd have gone, they've spent 200 million on what? Yeah, you know, they're 3-0 down to West Brom.
Listen, I mean, Gary is insisting at this point. He's insisting that we give Brighton some credit. I think you can definitely give Brighton some credit. You know, Brighton have done well. I have to say, I thought Crystal Palace played well against United in the first game of the season. And
they were superb. Really
easy
good.
to say that United were rusty. I get that, but actually, Palace looked scintillating on the break. I mean, I really like Will Zaha. I can't understand for the life of me why, you know, somebody hasn't come in and paid the 60 or 65 or whatever it would take to get him away. I know there's going to be a little bit of suspicion about his ability to move away from London, but crikey, he's a hard player to stop when he's on it.
Well, I mean, the only thing I know for definite is, according to Patrice Evra, he won't be signing for West Ham. So,
oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
He did.
I would agree with. I would agree with what Gary says. United defense is too slow. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Its pace seems to be the thing now.
Look,
massively. I was watching Leicester today, and Barnes was. I mean, Leicester have got pace up front now. You know, it's quite frightening actually, and that seems to be the thing. And if you haven't got pace at the back, you really will. You know, you will pay the price. Because I mean, Everton have looked good start of the season.
Yeah,
I was just going to suggest, Lee, the team that's impressed me so far, I think, is Everton.
Yeah, they've got a really good player in Allen, and you know, they've obviously got a very experienced coach who seems to have done, you know, good business. Albeit as a club, they've spent a lot of money. Their overdraft would make your eyes water.
Oh yeah, but it's not the first year they've spent money. They've been spending money for about the past three or 4 years. But Decore's a good signing. I think James is you know, looks quality. It finally looks like Calvert-Lewin's finally looking like the player that everybody suggested he could be as a focal point, as a number 9, and just concentrating on doing that. So, but they're going to be light if they pick up a couple of injuries again. Yeah, there's not a huge amount behind. But again, you look at it and go, well, you know, you take Wolves, you know, done over 4-0. I mean, you know, it's
look at
what's
Leeds.
that all about? Wolves are being suggested as being, you know, pushing on again from where they've been because this year they wouldn't have Europe, so that potentially they could push on and do even more. So.
I have to
Pete
say,
Wigglesworth says Timo Werner's fast. Apparently, what I've seen of him so far, he's quick, but he doesn't seem to have much of or hasn't had an end product so far in the Premier League. We know he can do it. He's done it in the Bundesliga over the past few years, but
I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, hasn't seemed to do that at the moment.
I think Frank is still trying to best manager in the world apparently, but he's still trying to figure out, you know, where all of the pieces go. But somebody put up a
slight tongue in cheek, yeah.
Somebody put up a meme or a picture of Frank in an interview pose on the Twitter last week when referring to the Liverpool game, and he said he was saying something like, I think, Lincoln were a little bit unlucky in that game there. If Liverpool hadn't scored the 7 goals, I think it was all Lincoln. I actually think Frank has a little bit of the trump about him. He tends to just say whatever he wants to say, and it doesn't often bear relation to what we've been seeing. But he spent a lot of money. He's got to back himself. And I think he should for as long as he can.
What do you make, just whilst we're talking Chelsea and we're is signing another goalkeeper? I know they paid 70 something million for Kepa.
Well, it was a world record at the time, so it still is.
And you think, well, so what are you doing? You're just writing that off as a what they had him in? This is his 3rd season. Is that right? They signed him the same summer that you signed. Same summer Liverpool signed Alisson, didn't they?
Yeah.
So it must be his 3rd. That'd be his 3rd season.
Start of his 3rd season.
So I mean, what are you doing? You're signing a player for what, 20 something million, and suggesting, well, he's going to be my number 1 now, and that's it. And he even dropped him from the game, even though the new keeper isn't fit yet. He dropped him from the game.
Well, you remember Kepa is of course infamous for not wanting to come off in a cup final. Right. The absolute tit. Can I say that, Lee? I think so. Our face isn't on screen, so I think I can say that. We can say it was Tristan that said it. What a tit. He didn't come off in a cup final, right? There were an extra time. I can't remember who Chelsea were playing, but it was looking like pens. I think the manager of the time, Sarri, thought, I'm going to bring on my number 2 because he's got a good...
Was it the Man City? Was it against Man City?
Was it against Man City? I can't remember now. But he flat refused to go off.
Was it the FA Cup final?
It could have been. Yeah, it was either the FA Cup or the League Cup.
It was domestic.
It was insane, is what it was.
Surely that was his downhill. I mean, I think it started there, didn't it?
Yeah, but I mean, he's been really, really bad. I think there seems to be an attitude problem there, which
But what I will say that put his attitude to one side, his performances very much reminds me of how De Gea was when he first went to United.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we stuck by De Gea, and okay, he slumped a little bit the past few years, but actually, 4 or 5 years ago, there was, you'd argue De Gea was, the best keeper in the world.
Yeah, I would agree.
But when De Gea first came to United, he looked lightweight. His decision making wasn't great. Positionally wasn't brilliant. But I just wish we'd sold him maybe 2 or 3 years ago when he was at that level, and potentially Real Madrid wanted him before Real Madrid signed Courtois.
I tell you what, Lee, I'd agree with the lightweight and the things that you've said on De Gea when he started. I that's exactly how I remember it. But I never thought he was arrogant, and I think Kepa comes across as arrogant, and it's very important to be a single unit with your back four. I was hoping Chelsea were going to sign the Atletico Madrid goalkeeper. Is it Oblak? He's great. Great keeper.
And then we could have sold De Gea to Atletico Madrid, send him back to Madrid, and then because Henderson, I think, is just made for United. And we've probably done a better deal, because we've got to learn to be better in the market as well. Liverpool at the moment are showing everybody how to work a transfer market. That's both ways, players in and players out.
Well,
we've got to
said that.
Yeah, we've got to learn how to do that.
He said it hurts to say, but Liverpool bought the exact right players for what they need. Well, that's right. I think they did, but they negotiated some amazing payment terms. So if they sell Ryan Brewster for about 20 million, they've covered their entire transfer spend for this year, which is insane. Yeah. When you think about it.
And United are busy trying to, we've got players that we don't necessarily want, but you can't shift them. So, we need to shift Phil Jones. We need to shift Chris Smalling. I think probably Lingard's time is probably at the club is probably, done and dusted. And we seem to have to pay people to get players out of the club. It's crazy.
Is Pogba? I mean, what's your impressions of Pogba these days?
This start of this season, he doesn't look fit. I've never seen him lose gives the possession away so much. And actually, to be fair, Fernandes, the first 2 games of the season, Fernandes has given the ball away more times I think he did the whole of last season when he was at United. But Pogba, it doesn't look like he's there. No, they claim that he had got tested positive for corona but had no symptoms and all this kind of thing. But I'm not sure. I get the feeling his heart's not completely in it. But I don't think in the current climate anyone's going to pay the money. I mean, from my understanding of where the Spanish league is at the moment, there's no clubs have any money. I read something somewhere that they'd all been bailed out by central government, and they're on very, very strict financial regulations now, even stricter than FFP. And even if they want to make a signing, they have to match the money, or a percentage of the money has to go back to paying back the government. So if they're making player signings, they need to either break even on it, or they have to pay effectively an additional fee back for the additional bailout that they'd got. Right. So I read somewhere. I'm not completely, exactly what the situation is, but so they've got no money. Italian clubs have got no money. So yet the Premier League clubs seem to have managed to splash the cash quite nicely.
Well, Chelsea have. I'm not sure. I mean, one or two have, but I'm not sure too many have. It has been a fairly quiet transfer window, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tottenham have got a ridiculously good deal in bringing Bale back.
Depending on how he plays, Lee, there's an element of risk in that one. I hope it works out for them. I really do, because I'd love to see Gareth Bale.
But my understanding is they're only paying half of his wages for the year. That's the fee, from what I could gather, which is about
Well, that'd be pretty good.
So he was on 600,000 a week, so it'd be about 30 million a year, and basically the deal was that they'd pay half his wages. Real are paying the other half, and it's just a loan deal for a year. And I don't believe there's a fee attached to it.
Okay,
somebody close to
15 million. If they're paying 15 million in wages, that's still a chunk.
It's a chunk, but
in today's market,
you're not paying a transfer fee. Yeah, in today's transfer, what does 15 million get you? It doesn't get you even close to a player of Gareth Bale's ability. He's still shown when he plays for the national side for Wales that he can play. Yeah. Real Madrid, for whatever reason, just weren't interested. Zidane never rated him. I mean, his trophy cabinet's insane when you think about what he's done out there. So I think he would have quite happily taken the deal that was on to go and play out in China last year before they pulled the plug on that. But I think for Spurs' point of view, the 15 million that they'll pay for the year, they'll make that back in shirt sales and whatnot.
Agree.
And sponsorship and whatever without any problem whatsoever. Levy, if nothing else, as David Brent, as we called him the other week, from the fly on the wall. If no one's seen the All or Nothing on Amazon, it's well worth watching the Jose show if you get a chance to watch that. But Levy's, I mean, he's a switched on guy. He knows what he's doing.
No question.
That's for sure.
I think Gareth Bale could have been another sort of personality clash with Zidane as well. That's the way it came across.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
it's
the
a weird one.
The fans sort of went off of him, which is insane because I mean he performed extremely well particularly in big matches, finals and stuff like that. Maybe his failure to really adapt to the Spanish way of life or learn the language that might have become a barrier over time. I don't know if that meant that 4 years on he still wasn't doing after match interviews in Spanish. I don't know if that's the thing.
But Spanish clubs are funny. I mean, did you see the other day Messi came out on, I think it might have been Twitter, talking about the Suarez deal, and the way they've treated a player there. He's 1 year left on his contract. I didn't realize he's the third highest scorer all time for Barcelona.
He scored a lot of goals.
Is just incredible in a fairly short space of time.
Didn't he score like a couple of goals for Atletico today? Am I right?
Yes, he did. On his debut as well. On his debut.
Didn't bite anyone.
But,
so
But you kind of go, well, why on earth would they? I know Koeman's trying to change the squad and do this, that, and the other, but when you've got quality there and you can't necessarily replace that quality at the moment because they haven't gone out and spent. They've just, I think he went for next to nothing. It was a nominal fee or tied into bonuses or something like that. So
listen, Lee,
just ridiculous.
I've got really bad news for you. I'm gonna have to bring you back to work. Okay, we're gonna have to bring you back to work. Peter Wigglesworth has just asked, can you update us on the squad's positions, or is it a bit early? Sorry, it's a bit early, Pete. We're talking about football, right?
Well,
It's a bit
we're talking
early.
about football, Pete.
The
Pete,
other
we're
side of
talking
midnight.
football, man. So if you look, when you're on the show, Pete, we'll talk poker. That's not a problem. But when you're not on the show, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
listen, Lee, he's right, of course, because there's a lot of teams in contention tonight, right?
He's
Which makes it harder to update because it's hard.
It's a tough one to call. What I can tell you so far. So the team, I had it down that there was probably 4 teams in the mix. Lockdown Crew, Purple Ackies, the Four Nations, Eat My Stack. I reckon they were probably the 4 that were in it.
Hold on, Lee. What's happened to Celtic Storm?
Well, they're a little bit off the pace this week.
What?
I'll just leave it at that.
But I put all of my stack on Boyle Sports onto Celtic Storm this week.
Did you? Is that what Frank told you to do? Is it? Yeah,
Everything in my free ticket allocation went on to Celtic Storm.
They would have still been in with a shout if it wasn't for the fact that 2 of them are already bust. So they're probably they'll struggle to catch up now. I would have thought. So Purple Ackies are done. All 4 of them gone already. So they're currently sat in second place. So they're not going to be top dogs this week. Lockdown Crew have got 2 players left in. Graham Pound and Marion are left in for them. The Four Nations have got Adelaide Bull, Stephen Healy, and Jude Smith still playing for them. So they've got 2 left. Eat My Stack have only got Tim Magnus, but we know sometimes all you need is Tim Magnus. That's assuming Tim's even actually playing tonight. I haven't even checked.
All you need is Tim. Hey, Jude. Right,
well, no, actually,
we've got a bit of a Beatles thing tonight.
That explains why Tim's the only one left in for Eat My Stack, because he's not actually playing tonight. But we have had a Sunday night where Tim's got the win and done the necessary. So all they do need is Tim, except he's not in tonight. So
did you really say the only one left in for Eat My Stack is Tim, but he's not actually playing? You said something like that, right?
Along those
lines,
going
viral.
Yeah.
Season 2, episode 1 will go viral. I feel it in my bones.
So very much this is down to now. Lockdown Crew are currently top. They are 30 points ahead of the Four Nations. So it's Graham and Marion for the Lockdown Crew, Jude and Steve Healy for the Four Nations. 23 players remaining. So that's what we've got there on the MVP. Just to keep you up to date on that. It's only Marion, I think, that can actually catch Nye now.
Come on, Marion.
So, and he's going to need a win, basically.
But we know Marion can do that. He's sat on 328k.
Oh,
he can do
very
that.
Doable.
So
Very
where's
doable
Nye?
indeed.
Nye's not in, is he not?
Nye's bust. He's currently in the
bust,
chat.
okay.
He's just in the chat, just basically watching. I'd imagine he's probably got Marion's table up, I would imagine. And
shall we invite him into the conversation, Lee, to try and convince Marion to lose his chips? I don't think. Well, we know Marion listens to the show, right? We know he'll be listening quietly, right, doing his thing, which he seems to be doing reasonably well at the moment. Would it be fair to unleash Nye on his brain at this point? Maybe that'd be cruel.
If Nye wants to come on the call, he's more than welcome.
Put it in the chat. Oh, there's a little smiley face there, which doesn't really answer our question. If you do want to come on to the chat, Nye, and Nye is actually saying Yanni can win still. So apparently Yanni's still in the running. But if you do want to come on to the chat, Nye, just drop a yup in the old box, and we'll figure a way to get you on.
So where do you think things are going poker-wise then, Tris? Obviously, W Cooper's finished, WPT's finished, the World Series is finished. It was a crazy summer of poker, wasn't it? But obviously now the UK is in sort of 6 months of kind of semi-lockdown, regional, national, whatever you want to call it. Do you think that the kind of online poker boom will continue through the autumn months and into the winter?
I must admit, I certainly hope so, because I personally have a bit of a decision at the moment. I'm probably more than likely going to be made redundant from work.
Oh no!
So sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I think the old poker might be taking more of an impact in my life. So perhaps there's something I really need to look at, because there are no festivals going on at the moment, but I imagine there'll be something in the pipeline on all sides, really, if I'm honest. So
Yeah, I think
keep
the
an eye.
reality is that they're going to have to do something to kind of keep the interest alive. Obviously, we've been teasing a world amateur championships for a little while now. Well, that still very much is in the pipeline, and as soon as we can get some details out, we will let people know what's going on. But obviously, I think the view was that the summer months, it was probably too crazy with the amount of poker that was all on. If you can get a little bit of structure going, and they can all find the right timings and the right slots in the schedule, there could be some good. I saw the other day. I think actually it might have been Rich Prue posted this morning that one of the tournaments on Party, I think it was a $22 tournament. So they'd done a 20,000 guarantee on it, and then it hit 40 something thousand the following day. So Rob had said, right, we'll make the guarantee 40,000. And then I think they hit that. So tonight they'd made it 60,000. And if you can get these regular tournaments at sensible buy-ins for players, because you've got to remember that, as we've always said from day one of the lockdown, that with what we've done with APAT schedule is we've tried to keep it sensible buy-ins, because people have got lots of other commitments and other things going on. But I think if the sites can find the right level, I mean, obviously we were all gutted not to play the 102k buy-in earlier on in the week.
I played that.
I messaged Des and said, don't bother, Des. It's hit the guarantee. There's no value in it.
No,
don't
listen, I satted my way in, Lee. I started at $1.
Did you really? Yeah.
I did. I started back in March, actually. I started on the dollar satties on ACOR in America, and I managed to win my way through. And I played.
But if you're a winning player there, I'm assuming they banned you. Yeah.
Yeah, obviously at each with each ticket that I won, I was banned from that site as a successful winning online poker player, but I managed to get all the way through, and I came first. You'll have seen me on the internet as an anonymous player. I didn't give them any of my details. Rich was interviewing me. I said, no, sorry, Rich, I'm anonymous.
There was a great story there with Charlie Godwin, who satellited up from I think it was $100 satellite up to the 1,000 into the 10, the guarantee one. Yeah, I mean, incredible story.
$600,000. That is phenomenal. Yeah. That is amazing. And there were actually
it's not the best ROI I've ever heard of, but I mean, it's not bad. It's a good effort.
Does a penny into 100 grand? Does that beat that from an ROI standpoint?
It might do, yeah.
Just not from a cash standpoint.
Oh, definitely not. No, that's yeah. It's I mean, it's pretty impressive. It's not. I think, and they're great stories. And I think Rich actually posted up in the Party Poker UK and Ireland forum. I think they had probably double figures stories of people that had had gone on satellite runs and had great results in the WPT over the past few months, which is great, because ultimately you want to people what needs to be able to aspire to be able to say, well, you can have the chance at a win. Actually, it's an interesting discussion that took place on. We just this tonight put up the third episode of The Orbit with Robbie, who's been on the show a few times, and they were discussing there about how finding ways of how is poker aspirational for new players these days. And it used to be that they would sell heavily the story of you can be the next pro player, and you can be you can become this. And the reality of it is that's probably not a dream that actually really exists anymore. But the dream that still does exist is that you can have your one time. You can have your just when it's your day and it's your run good, and get through a satellite to a bigger event, and it can happen. And I think that's great to see. You really must warn me when you switch the video.
Lee, I've just put the video on. Okay, but I couldn't interrupt your flow. I couldn't interrupt your flow. And I didn't want to scare you. I didn't want you just looking around and seeing Tristan on your shoulder there. You go, oh! Yeah. I didn't want that. I didn't want that. Yeah. I didn't want that.
But it's true. It's that's the argument was that, well, the game is so hard to beat these days, and so much is required in training and studying and developing in the game, that actually is that what's aspirational for new players coming into the game anymore? Possibly not. Whereas a Charlie Godwin or anybody else that's satellited in and won big, or even just satellited into something and won a trip somewhere and has had a poker holiday out of it. That's aspirational for players and for amateur players to want to achieve.
I suppose that the challenge for me was that there were so many tournaments and big series sort of pushed into a relatively short period of time. Wouldn't it be amazing if the top 3 sites were in some way able to coordinate so that maybe, you've got 6 major tournaments in the year, plus the World Series of Poker, which is obviously one hopes will go back to being a live event next year, all being well. But 6 major online series, 2 on each of the major online sort of operators, and they're maybe every 2 months. So that, players don't burn out playing 100, 200 big tournaments consecutively. It's too expensive.
Nice. I mean, Tris, you've played a fair bit of stuff and dabbled in a few different sites over the summer. How have you managed to track what's on and what you've wanted to play? And did you miss anything that you kind of go, I didn't know about, I wasn't aware of that? How did you structure your schedule?
It was very tricky, really. I mean, thankfully I had mountains of time on, so it was even social media posts, looking online. But thankfully, there was a few things that clashed with the WPT and that, but we managed to make it work. I think it's just, do the sites sort of liaise with each other? I presume there may be some kind of liaise sort of going on. I'm not really too sure. But...
Yeah. Well, it's an interesting one because we the poker court is quite fortunate. Is the likes of Rob Young is very good at putting videos out on Twitter and talking about things. And a couple of the videos he's put out during the summer was them moving the WPT. I think 2 or 3 times they might have ended up moving it. But he was very much saying, well, we don't want to clash. We don't, so we're just going to move ours because we don't want to clash with the WSOP or anything else. And so I'm not sure how much they do to, obviously Des has had experience in the industry, so he's shaking his head. So he'll know better than anybody.
They're worlds apart. Oddly enough, I think Rob is actually the one guy who might make something like that happen, because he's sort of he's very open on what the others are doing. He's quite complimentary of it, so he doesn't at all play the politics, which I think is great. And he's out there publicly talking good common sense around. There's a need for us to align. There's a need for us to coordinate. We don't want to compete too deeply against each other because we're just going to burn the players out. So oddly enough, he's the first person in my experience who's tried to start a bit of a discussion. But that's a big step for somebody like a PokerStars, I would say, to do something like that publicly. I think would be a big step. But
interestingly, again, one of the discussions on the Orbit was very much around that. Is in any other, they were using an analogy of sport, and I'm not completely convinced sport and poker is something which you can necessarily quite align together. But the concept was saying, well, any other brand owners in sports work together for the best results for them, for the sport or the brand overall, whether it's a club owner or a franchise owner or whatever it is. Yet in poker, that doesn't seem to necessarily always happen. And it's not necessarily for the good of poker. It's more about the individual sites, which is a shame, because if they could make that work, as you say, it would be good for everybody. So I need to comment on. So, you read Simon Brooks?
I read this a minute ago. I've just been patiently waiting to get back in with this one. It's a little bit of gold. Yeah. Thank you for your contribution, Simon. Yes, you have missed the discussion, which was long and grey. But we're not going there again. Beautifully coiffured.
But what I can say, exclusive is, I won't get it cut before Simon Brooke comes on the show, and he's on the show next week.
Is he on the show next week? Fantastic.
Simon is booked for next week.
We can talk about that beautiful small creature production that I think he may have been involved in. Very well
I saw some of that. Yes.
I want to know how they got the camera through some of those sort of little gaps, and it was so close to the ground, and it looked amazing.
I've got to be careful because I'm always fascinated by Simon and his career in television, but he always takes the mickey because he doesn't think he's in. He thinks I've got a little bit too much interest in his TV career. But it's genuinely can't wait to get him on the show and have a chat to Simon because we missed the Gotham guys. It's been quite quiet this summer.
Gotham guys, Lee. Who are they?
Well, they're still about. At least I think they are, Tris, aren't they?
I heard that they.
Well, I think so.
I heard that they lived in a room and just played with each other. That's what I heard.
Via Zoom, yeah.
Oh, via Zoom. Oh, it's a Zoom room. Oh, sorry. I was thinking news of the world. But anyway, detail.
No, definitely not. So so Simon's on the show next week. So very much looking forward to that. So,
that'll be good. 18 left, guys. 18 left in the poker. Shall we put a table back up? Let's do that.
Sorry, guys. I've actually been watching Match of the Day in the background here.
Oh, that's okay. So have I.
Did you see James Madison's goal?
No, I'm only joking. I didn't see any football today.
Oh my goodness!
Well, I didn't. I haven't seen it, but I saw the write up on it, and apparently, it's pretty spectacular. Yeah.
Oh, what beautiful!
I was in.
Did
the
you see
car for a portion of today.
Mahrez's first strike was insane.
Oh yeah. This was on a par with Mahrez, I think.
Wow.
Was
I was
it?
in the
Wow.
car for a portion of today, and they were commentating on one of Vardy's goals. Well, I guess his only from play goal. They said that was pretty sweet, a flick in or something. Apparently quite neat.
I don't recall that one. Well, from Mahrez, you say?
Vardy against City.
Oh yeah. Oh, a little back heel. Yeah, that was nice.
Little back heel, yeah, it sounded pretty good. That's an incredible result for Leicester. What is more incredible there? Leicester to win by 5-2 at City, or City to lose 5-2? Because Leicester away are always a handful, right?
I think
I think the problem is since it was before, obviously, since lockdown and obviously the start of the new season. I'm not sure home or away actually matters anymore.
Yeah, it's a fair call.
I really don't think it does.
It's a fair call.
There's been so many away wins, or I think a higher proportion of away wins since lockdown, because players have now got used to playing in empty stadiums, and I'm not convinced it really.
But the whether there was a crowd at the Etihad today or not will have had no bearing on that result. I mean, City, a high quality team, have literally been turned over big style by Leicester. I mean, that's a huge win. It's the first time Pep's team has conceded 5 goals.
I didn't see the stats on the game to know whether it was just they hit. They just.
Shall I put them up on screen?
Always the interesting one is the old expected goals, isn't it? That's normally a kind of a good indication of whether that was a fair or not fair result, because it was the result. But,
Lee, you doing the old fantasy football this year?
Yeah, I put a team in, but again, it's been a weird start to the season, isn't it? It's
Yeah, I do like to follow it quite closely, but it's just not a very good start for me.
Yeah, just looking at shots on target, City had 5 and Leicester had 7. So they've scored 5 of their 7 shots on target. It's just absolutely crazy.
Let's see if we can do this. Right.
So we're just players are playing hand for hand now, because we're down to 17 players playing top 16 today. No, I think you're right, Simon. I'm trying to think. I don't think any home teams have won this weekend.
We'll put that right tomorrow night. I keep telling you.
So far.
God, that's Sunday, isn't it? Oh,
everybody's give. West Ham won 4-0.
Did they? Bloody hell.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
4-0 against Wolves. Wow.
Yep.
So in the City Leicester game, 40% of the game was played in Leicester's third. only 13% in City's third. So, I mean, straight away there, that gives you a little bit of the story of the game, right? Leicester have obviously caught City out several times. From a pure stats point of view, let's see. I mean, pressure was all City according to what I'm looking at. Do we have the bloody stats here? Here we go. So, City had 71% of the ball. They had 14 shots to Leicester's 7. They had 3 shots on target to Leicester's 7. So, I mean, 7 shots on target from Leicester. Big chances. City had 2 big chances, missed 1. Leicester had 4 big chances, didn't miss any. So they were just
looking at some of the quotes now. Rodri after the game said they were lucky. Football was not fair to Man City today in their defeat.
Oh dear.
That's what you like to see. But apparently then the rumour is now that their City are about to spend 65 million on Ruben Dias from Benfica, centre-back.
But they just bought Ake, didn't they? Was that his debut?
Yeah, he was, 40-something million from obviously there was always going to be a clear out from Bournemouth once they went down.
Yeah.
And sadly, I don't think they're not likely. We're not likely to see them come back up anytime soon, I don't think.
Bournemouth, did they beat Norwich today? I seem to
they won today. Yeah,
decent result.
Yeah, so bubbles burst, and it was Ryan Smith, unfortunately, that's just missed out on the cash. So we're down to 2 tables. So just to confirm, our short stack, Marion is shorts of 16 at the moment, and Yanni, who's currently 4th, both potentially can win MVP and overtake an Iron. And as far as the team event goes, it's the lockdown crew that are currently 30 points ahead. They've got Graham, Pound, and Marion playing for them. And I think the only team that can probably catch them is the Four Nations, which is has got Jude Smith and Steve Healy. Unfortunately, Jude and Steve are 15th and 16th out of the 16 players remaining. So it's not looking great for them, unfortunately. What do you think? What do you think, Tris? When do you think we're gonna see fans back into football stadiums? I mean, the talk was that it's not going to be during this next 6-month period. So that's pretty much the rest of the season. The season, isn't it?
So I must admit, I think it'll be next season now. To be honest, I mean, I do like a bit of horse racing. They have trialled at the horse racing and that seemed to go relatively well with I think it was 1,000.
Well, there was some fans. There was some fans in the stadium for the Saracens rugby union semi-final. They were playing one of the French sides, and there was definitely fans in the crowd there at that stadium. So it seems a little bit kind of hit and miss on what's going on. But the big worry obviously is that the Premier League clubs, obviously it's costing them millions for not playing behind closed doors effectively, but they can they'll see that through. I mean, you get the feeling if there's no fans coming into the lower league clubs, we're going to see a lot of clubs go bust before the season's out. I don't see how how that's not going to be the case, which would be well, not just a shame. I think it can't be allowed to happen, but I don't quite know at the moment what you do to stop that from happening. But
well, hopefully the government has some sort of plan. As they
difficulty is, I'm not sure whether the government, Tris, can do a huge amount because I don't think they can bail out football clubs, because then they're having to bail out every sports club.
Yeah, because that'd be everything.
I think as the government did,
it's got to trickle down from the actual football pyramid itself. I think.
Yeah. Well, as the government did within the first couple of weeks of COVID kicking off big style, where they fingered footballers, as it were. and suggested that they should take a cut in wages. I think they have fingered the Premier League clubs and sort of said, well, you guys should trickle some of that money down, which, to be honest, is absolutely fine. I think it makes good sense for that to be the case.
I think the reality of it is the financial support that's on offer now is fairly non-existent. I don't know how much you looked into the kind of announcement that was made during the week from the Chancellor. Everyone got a little bit excited on the day, but anybody kind of that with a little bit of know-how and knows these things, straight away it was fairly obvious that basically no one's going to take up that offer. It makes no sense whatsoever for any business to really. I'm yet to see anybody give me a practical example where a business would choose to take up the offer of work a third and then pay another third and a third between the government and the employer. It makes absolutely zero sense for any business to do that unless they're not looking at it from a financial perspective. And they're looking at it simply from a moral perspective, and the fact that they hope in 6 months' time the job will become viable again, and therefore they might choose to do that. But otherwise, there's not a business in it would be make any sense. A simple example of it is, say you employed 3 people, and you could afford to only pay them all or basically they could only work for a third of their time. If you kept them all on under that scheme, you as a company would actually be paying for effectively 1.5 full-time people for what is actually only being one full-time person's hours being worked.
Yeah.
So you're better off as a company making 2 of them redundant and keeping 1 of them on.
Yeah.
That's how crazy that's how crazy the scheme is. It just makes absolutely no practical sense for a company to keep people on that way. So unfortunately, you're going to see. You mentioned yourself, Tristan. Potentially going through this now, and unfortunately, you are going to be one of many that will do, because what's on offer is not really viable for businesses. But at the same time, there's got to be a point where it goes, well, actually, our position's viable for people. If not, you've got to look at retraining and trying to remanage the workforce for whatever the future holds. I mean, what I'd love to see them do is pile a whole load of money into, let's roll out environmental stuff. Let's get all the houses properly insulated. Let's get solar panels, all these things that they could be doing, to actually get people working and create jobs, but at the same time also doing something better environmentally, and putting the money into that rather than it just effectively what's being. I mean, they paid for a lot of people just to be sat at home for 6 months, really.
Pretty much.
It's been needed. It was needed. Don't get me wrong, but unfortunately, that's it. And you are quite right, Simon. It's just pointing out. Simon's just saying only if recruitment costs or redundancy equals 0. You are quite right with that point.
Yeah, I mean, these still are unprecedented times, aren't they? Really, I mean, no one really has any idea. I mean, I was reading in the paper, talking about a third wave of this. So, I mean, I hope they were wrong.
A third wave?
Yeah.
Shit. Have we started the second one officially?
I think. Well, I'm not sure if it's official.
We're in it. We're in it, but we're not through it. Are we talking about a third one already? Crikey.
Well, there's likely to be, because the fact is, what you've got, the second wave actually, which they thought they was going to actually be tying in with effectively what would have been the winter, which would have been the flu kind of season. The fact is because obviously this didn't stem from the schools going back and universities going back as much as they like to kind of push that. This actually came from the fact that they actually were getting people back into work and getting people out and about, in August. From sort of July and August time. Obviously the schools going back and universities going back has then escalated this since then is the reality of it. I mean, crikey, anybody that actually thought let's all the university students weren't going to just become an absolute hotbed for this disease. Just like, we kind of knew what was coming there, really. What's weird about that is that a lot of them are on distance learning anyway. So it does kind of doesn't seem to make a huge amount of sense why you'd send them all into halls of residence to just basically socialize with each other.
Well, yeah, my daughter's gone back for her final year, and her uni contacted her in the middle of summer and said, right, guys, glad to have you back. We want you back. But as you now recognize, online learning works perfectly well. So you will come back and you will have a percentage of your normal sort of planned uni final year, fourth year, whatever. But there will be no lectures. Why go back? No lectures. There are going to be no in-halls lectures. No lectures. So you can meet in small groups with your, your professors and all of that sort of palaver, but there will be no lectures. All of that will be done online as you sit in your, college house, dorm, whatever you might want to call it.
In your dorm, yeah.
Yeah, whatever you might want to call it.
I mean, it makes you kind of wonder why. I mean, okay, university is far more than just the qualification. That's would be the first thing to say, that it's a life experience. It's a life learning. It's making friends for life and contacts and everything else that comes with it. But it kind of does beg the question: well, the sort of fees that they charge for educating you through to get you a degree after 3 years, when you could effectively just do that sat at home by distance learning. Right? I mean, you kind of go, well, and you've still got that qualification on your CV to then go on and and get whatever job or whatever career you want to do. It does kind of beg the question, really.
I suppose this year they're doing the best that they can under the circumstances, which, to be honest, clearly were not planned for. But I think this year will educate a lot of employers, a lot of educators, a lot of people that, individuals can be trusted to work in the home, to learn in the home, and to do all of that stuff. And I guess, we will start a new phase of life once this thing starts to settle down and people start to think, right, how can we take advantage of what we've just learned there?
Yeah, I think it's I kind of my key phrase in the past month or so has been, embrace it. People have got to start embracing the situation. Not trying to go back to they were using the phrase the new norm, wasn't it? And let's go back to whatever the new norm's going to be. It's like, well, no, because that isn't what it's going to be. You've got to actually embrace it and appreciate that actually we're going to be in this situation for 6 months minimum, and this isn't the last time something like this is going to happen, possibly in our lifetime. And I'm getting on a bit now. And obviously,
Lee, you must be about 70. Yeah. Are you 70?
Are
you 70? I'm only 24 myself.
I certainly feel like I've aged in the past 6 months. That's for sure. But it's the reality that's what it's going to be. So you've got to embrace it and go, right, well, how can I make this work for me, whether it's a business or whether it's an individual or it's your family or whatever it might be. Because Chris
Kelly. Chris Kelly is suggesting Lee Wilshire for Chancellor in 2021. You would get my vote, my friend. Ken McBride. You'll know him as Ken McBride, Lee. Ken McBride has joined us.
Ken McBride. Haven't seen Ken McBride playing poker squads for a little while, actually. I
tell you, the star in that family is no doubt Gary McBride, who you won't recognise him as that. He plays online as Gary McBride.
Oh, he's got the extra R in his name, isn't he? Yeah.
Well, it's tax. It's all a tax thing. I think it's a tax thing.
So a little bit of movement here now, because Steve Healy, Adelaide Bull, has bust in 16th, and Marion has bust in 14th. Which means there's only Yanni now that can catch an iron for the MVP.
He's got double average, Lee.
Yeah,
Yanni.
So he's in a good spot. In between those two exits was also Jude Smith busting in 15th.
Hey, Jude.
That's going to completely change the leaderboard for squads now, because that's 3 of them gone. So I think we may be there or thereabouts with it now.
Does Yanni have to win, Lee? Do you know? Would a top
I'll
3?
tell you now. Yeah. Yanni needs 102 points, which means he can top 2 finish.
Top 2, okay. So 12 left. That could be an interesting next hour.
Well, we've seen it done once or twice on a Sunday night, haven't
No,
we?
we have. Crikey, we have. We've had some amazing finishes to this competition on a weekly basis, I have to say. And, Yanni, we love Yanni, right? But Aniron, I personally know Aniron for many years. Would love to see him win this tonight. But, being APAT, we want to see it go right down to the wire, a bit of drama.
I think he's due.
Pretty much. I think pretty much. Let's just see who else is left in. Donald's in, but Michael Lee's not playing, so I don't. Oh, do you know the hit squad could potentially be in contention, but I'm pretty much sure it's going to be the lockdown crew that are going to win. Are going to win squads now. They've still got Graham Pound in for them. So I think that's going to be I think that's likely to be theirs. And of course, the other story tonight, Yanni is now chip leader in this. He won the roller.
I could do the double
earlier on,
as
well. So he's on for the Sunday night. He's on for the Sunday night double as well.
Okay, well, Yanni is on for a good night, no matter what happens here in the end. Peter Wigglesworth is just saying Marion had aces, Jude had a couple of 5s, Gary Holland had 8-8, and he quadded up. Pretty sick exit there for Marion. Jude, presumably, I shouldn't assume, but may have gone on that hand as well. Nice hand. If it's your night, it's your night. But Gary's had lots of success over the last few weeks, Lee.
I mean, Yanni will get put back into his. Yanni will get put back into his place when he's told he's still only 20th in the Ilfracombe Poker League or something like that, or whatever. They normally. Yeah, they don't allow him too much of
there's no hero status up there.
Yeah, no, definitely
Too right.
not.
Too bloody right. So listen, guys, we haven't spoke about him for a couple of weeks now. I feel like on the back of what we've been discussing for the last half an hour, it feels like a good time just to have a little bit of a Trump talk. What do you think?
Oh, we're going to do Trump talk.
Let's do Trump. Let's do Trump. I feel we haven't really talked Trump for quite some time in reality, but November the 3rd is rolling up, and somehow he hasn't self-destructed. How is this thing going to finish? Tris, have you been following this at all? This Trump thing?
No, I was. No, I don't want to anymore.
Oh my word!
He hasn't blown up as yet, but I mean, there's always potential.
Well, I mean, he's done everything that a normal person would do to blow up. I mean, he's created racial divide. He's created science divide. He's sacked a lot of people. He's had a lot of books written about him that are not complimentary at all.
But of course,
and that's just in his family.
Yeah. But the latest thing is obviously, and the interesting thing that's going on at the moment is obviously this vacant position in the U.S. Supreme Court.
Yes.
Obviously, so Ruth Bader Ginsburg sadly passed away, and that's the interesting one now, because he's pushing to be able to place fill that vacancy, should we say, which I think, if I'm right, would be either the 3rd or 4th one that he's actually done during his presidency. If he picks who he wants, which I think is Amy Coney Barrett,
48-year-old Amy.
Yeah,
she'd be the youngest one yet.
Yeah, well, there's a reason for that.
Right.
But obviously that would then give a 6-3 conservative balance on the Supreme Court. And obviously he's come out and suggested that whatever the results might be in November, he might choose to be kicking and screaming and say that it's not valid. And of course, who then decides on whether it's valid or not?
CNN,
the Supreme Court.
It's
which is why he's pretending. Of course, that's just the rumors and suggestions that's where it's going. But yeah, I mean, there's an argument. He made it very clear that it was a case of, well, what if you lose? And he went, well, we'll see. Was I think pretty much the terminology used. I think the kind of the protests and riots and violence and things that have gone on over a lot of the Black Lives Matters, stuff that's been going on for a good while now. I think he's nothing to what could happen if. Did you see him? He came out to. I think it was actually was at Ruth Bader Ginsburg's where she'd been laid. Her body had been kind of like whilst people were coming and paying their respects, and he was getting heckled and booed, and like the crowd were actually vote him out and all this kind of thing, and he genuinely looked quite sheepish about the whole thing. I don't think his wife quite knew where
it's very bad. Because
reputedly, it's crazy.
Reputedly, her last wish was that the new president, be it Trump or Biden, would vote the position in, that it wouldn't be voted in prior to the election, because traditionally you wouldn't do that with a new president about to be appointed. And interestingly, a number of the Republicans back in 2016, they all back then came out and said, no, we shouldn't be appointing any Supreme Court judges. While there's an election
Obama, there was one which Obama could have put in, and they argued that no, it shouldn't be done whilst in an election year.
It's okay now. It's okay to do it now. It is crooked over there, very, very crooked. I think Trump is dangerous. I think he's genuinely a very dangerous man.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the question is, what would he do with another 4 years in power? It's I don't know whether he went easy enough. The worrying thing is, did he go easy in his first 4 years to make sure that he got another 4 years?
Well, listen.
And therefore the second 4 years he's on. Well, he can't get in again, so he might just as well go for broke.
Well, I think he's already started to say we're going to go for a third term. He's already saying we're going for a third term. You can't have a third term.
He's going to do a Putin and just
Chris Kelly, Chris Kelly of Scotland has nailed the whole thing to a mast. He said this all started when the clapping stopped at APAT games. He's quite right.
Yeah.
TK's to blame.
We had it all down. We had it all sorted, didn't we? Yeah.
There was general happiness up to that point. They should clap every decision in America, I reckon. Yeah, that's the way to go. Everybody stands up and claps when somebody dies, maybe? No, that's not the way to go. Not with the way COVID's going.
It's not any. I mean, what's an interesting one? So, Tris, you've been to Vegas a number of times, and would you want to visit the US at the moment, or even, I mean, let's say Vegas next year, so next June time. If Trump was in again for another 4 years, is the US somewhere you'd actually want to go and visit?
Well, certainly, yeah. I mean, Vegas is the plan for next year. I mean, I don't think it would put me off to actually stop going, but it is a little scary that he is the most powerful man in the world, and with the things he does and the things he says, but it wouldn't put me off going, but I still feel like I'd, sort of one eye over your shoulder all the time kind of thing.
Pete Wigglesworth sent me a message the other day because he'd had an email through that the Win were opening back up for tournament, opening the card room back up 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
Really?
And they anticipate in hosting daily tournaments very soon.
Is that to celebrate the peak?
I don't know what it was, but Vegas wasn't shut down for very long, was it?
No, because they've got a crazy woman over there who's a mayor or something, who just basically wanted to get everybody back in.
Yeah, I remember tweeting some video of when it opened back up, and it didn't look much different to before, apart from a lot of the kind of girls dancing were wearing face masks or visors. Other than that, in some of the casinos where they dance behind the kind of the blackjack tables and stuff like that. But other than that, you would really not have noticed much of a difference. It was there wasn't a huge amount of social distancing going on or or any concern for it. But the deaths in the US are what, 200,000 or something like that?
Yeah, it's over 200 grand now, 200,000. Yeah,
Yeah.
ticking along nicely, I'd say. Listen, Lee, until they allow riot wear on British Airways, I'm not going back. Because you don't want to arrive at McCarran wearing a T-shirt and a pair of shorts and stuff to be met by a posse of two groups like fighting each other. You're going to look out of place. You're going to look soft. They're going to pick on you.
Well, it is a difficult one. It is even the thought of just getting on a plane, isn't it, and wanting to go anywhere at the moment. A client of mine's been out to Greece 3 times in about the past couple of months because he's sorted some property out there. But he said it's actually been he said it's been fine. You had a trip planned, didn't you?
Oh, Lee, shall I tell you? Oh,
tell us the story. Tris, do you want to hear the story, Tris?
I think I'm going to hear the story.
I'm so troubled by this, gentlemen, but I shall tell you because, frankly, I'll need to unburden myself. So there was an event going on in Santorini in Greece that had been planned for some time. And, of course, with some rather, heaviness in my heart, I was preparing to go because the event was important, and you want to go and support the event. But then, a beautiful thing happened, and the government decided that Santorini, amongst the other Greek islands, were suddenly off limits. And with a week to go, I believed that was all over. So, saddened though I was for the event, I was quite sort of personally pleased because, we can do this another time, right? But the main party of the event decided they were going to go anyway. And I decided I would go. And then I had some further feedback from, other members of the establishment that I, live in. And the thought was, let's not do the event. So we didn't go to the event. And anyway, one of the parties at the event got very, very, very badly sunburnt on the first day. And 4 days later, they came back, very seriously burned. And, we're talking serious burns now. And I've ended up, in staying away from Santorini, for sensible reasons. I've ended up going to 2 major hospitals for many hours over the last 2 days. It's like you just can't plan for these things. And I have to say, having spent quite a bit of time in hospitals over the last 2 days, everything was magnificently controlled. They were very, very quiet. There were no people in waiting rooms or anything like that. It was all very, very well controlled. So that was nice to see. But I have to say, a week ago, going into a hospital would have been probably one of the last places that I'd want to go to. If you have to go in, you have to go in, so be it. But you try and avoid it for obvious reasons. And, having done it now, a lot better than I expected. But I'm awaiting the dry cough and all of that stuff. But so far, so good. Touch wood. Yeah. So I stayed off of the plane and went into hospitals instead.
Yeah. Which is the second worst place sort of environment you want to perhaps be in.
You just cannot plan. But as we lose a table there, but essentially
talking about not being able to plan, we've just hit the final table.
We have indeed. There we go. So as I bring that up,
lost Aaron in ninth place.
So despite best intentions, and you can look. My view on this is as follows. If you can be cautious around it, be cautious around it. There are times when you cannot be cautious around it, and so be it. You just have to, go out and do what you got to do. But with the kids back, with a lot of people back at work in offices and stuff, it's almost impossible for everyone to stay, safe, as it were. You can only do the best that you can do.
No, I would tend to agree with that. That is for sure.
So who have we got on this final table then, young Lee? I see we've got the
well,
Warden of the Northeast is on there.
Yes, Airsy's made this final table. Donald Sloss as well, who's a regular player. He's currently chip leader going into this.
Excellent.
Yanni, obviously, who is needing a top 2 finish to snatch the MVP away from an iron. Graham Pound, who's playing for Hit Squad, I think it is, who's currently all in at the moment. Whilst Donald's having a think. I'm assuming he must have timed out.
Oh, he's down to
Can't believe he'd be
987.
taking. I
There
can't
we
believe
go.
he'd be taking this long to be pondering this decision. So I'm going to assuming he has.
Yes.
And we've got a few kind of
Damiano. Oh, we've got a call.
non-regulars, and Marco Rocco has made the call with ace 9.
It looks like he's mistimed it, Lee.
Graham's going to get a double up. So Marco's so close to being the Manchester United and Argentinian centre back.
I was just going to say.
Where is he, guys? Where did he go back to Argentina?
He might have gone back
Did he
somewhere
go on
for
that?
on a loan deal, but he's still at the club at the moment.
Is he? Is he
at
still on the
club,
wage bill?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I think it's Estudiante.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Studientes.
I think
yeah.
then I think he picked up an injury, so I think he then kind of came back and but he's another one which I just don't quite know. Never really did anything, and you kind of think, well, why is the club not just got rid and just got him off the wage bill? And makes you wonder what some of them are on contract wise, and have just said they're quietly just going about their thing.
To be honest,
can't self-fill.
He was Argentina's regular centre back, really. To be honest.
Yeah, I mean he's another one that was getting in the as Graham's all in again, and his ace king's good against king queen, so he's 2 double ups in a row. I mean it's a crazy situation where you've got Ramiro and Rocco, who neither could get into the Man United first 11, but were playing for Argentina. Like, what is that all about?
Yeah, something's wrong somewhere.
Yeah, something is definitely not right with the world. So Damiano gets his remaining nearly 91,000 in. Airsy in the big blind with 70k already in. He's not going to let this go. Yanni might also get involved as well from the small blind, and he does. So Airsy's going to make the call. So the 2 blinds, Damiano's on for a treble up here. The boys are going to check it down, which is what you would sort of expect.
I think that's an ace anything from Damiano. I think he's missed. Well, definitely the Kings of Yanni take it.
The king for Yanni. Surprised Yanni didn't actually put a little bet out there with the stack that he's got, actually, to check that all the way down. It's a little bit of a ladder money wise, but it's not anything crazy. So I'm surprised he didn't have a little stab at it.
Yeah, Ian only had about 7 big blinds as well, so good job.
Yeah, you're surprised when you've hit like that. You wouldn't just unless he was slow playing it, thinking Ian might have a stab to try and steal it. So yeah, ultimately, and then you'd imagine he couldn't. Yeah, he wouldn't have then not been able to call.
Yeah.
Yanni shows ace 9 there, hitting top pair.
Marcus is all in.
It's 10 bigs. Difficult for either of these 2 in the blinds to call, though. He's got sort of stack size there, whereby actually he can make that shove, and there's not really anybody at the table that is going to call him off too light, because even the chip leader Yanni, it's a third of his stack.
Just 30, yeah. I think we were hovering around 11 or 12 players for a while. Everyone, it's all sort of the structure's sort of caught up with the players.
Which is what you normally tend to find happens. Yeah.
Airsy said he had 5-3 off.
Well, why wasn't he all in? I don't understand. With 5-3, I'd have it's a squeeze spot, definitely. Just shove there.
That's quite a strong hand for Airsy, if I remember.
Yeah, maybe if it had been 5-3 suited, he might have made the shove. Yeah.
So I forgot to mention when we were talking.
Go on.
Well, I was going to say when we were talking about Trump, Simon kindly put in the chat box that the first debate is this Tuesday night. So I don't know if you're into that, but midnight, I think.
But do you know the trouble with it is with the debates now? You kind of go, well, they talk about so much either side of those, and they'll talk about what they want to talk about. Trump will then tweet whatever he wants to tweet afterwards and suggest that he was this, that, or the other. I mean, it's How
I
much
think
of it
it'll
is
be
actually
worse.
ever believable?
I think Trump
Really?
will bully Biden, openly. He'll say hateful things, and half the country will love it, and half of them will hate it. And Biden probably won't have the gravitas to push back. He'll try to remain presidential and end up looking weak. It's just I just don't see how it becomes a useful watch, really. It'll be a bloodletting.
So yeah, with Graham Pound in third place here, it means he's going to significantly add to his points for the lockdown crew. And the only team that I think can sensibly potentially could have caught them now was Hit Squad with Don Sloss still going, but I don't think he'll get enough points. So I'm pretty sure now lockdown crew have got it one, which is Danny Weaver, Pete Wigglesworth, Graham Pound, and Marion. So very well done to you guys.
Yeah, well done, guys.
And I'm pretty sure the Four Nations are going to have locked up second place I think that's the second week in a row for them as well.
Well done, guys.
So everyone that's due tokens from the past 3 or 4 weeks, they'll all go in this week, so we can get them all in ready for you for next weekend.
Marco in trouble unless a club lands.
With
no good.
And Graham is just shy of going into the chip lead, pretty much level with Yanni now.
Fantastic.
We
lose ground this table.
We lose Marco. Yeah, considering he started this final table 300k.
I think he shot for about 6 big blinds. I think second hand.
Yeah.
Oh, easy.
Oh, deuce on the river.
Rivered by the deuce.
Does for Airsy.
Oof.
Good games up. That's quite a large shove.
But what we're seeing is, it's been slight increase in numbers this week for squads. I think it's just players are back.
It's the cold weather.
Playing a little bit more now.
Yeah.
And less to do in the evenings.
Yeah, perhaps so. Yeah. What numbers were you normally getting? About 70 or 80?
Well, only for the past few weeks. I mean, it just dipped a little bit the past 2 or 3 weeks, but we're back up on a Sunday night now, as the nights draw in, and I guess people are getting more kind of settled with what's on for the next few months, really, which is very little. We've actually got our third pub quiz starting up next week.
Really good.
So yeah, we've had 2 running for about the past 6 weeks, and then another one of our clients phoned me the other day and said, "Look, we're just going to go for it on a Sunday night. We'll just move it a little bit earlier, so start at 6 o'clock because obviously they've got they're all on curfews now. So they've just said, yeah, we don't want to hang around anymore. Customers are asking, so we're just going to get on and do it. So you've got to book a table to go to a pub anyway. So holding a quiz is actually not really that much different than what they're already doing anyway. So it's just, everyone sits, and actually what they'll probably find is they'll make more money because people will turn up there, book a table and eat. So as well. So it hopefully will work for them. So they're going to give it a go. So we're seeing people starting to just embrace it and just go, well, okay, well, it is what it is for the next 6 months. So let's get on with it.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Now I feel really bad about the guy who's currently in 5th, Russian player, because he's played a lot of squads games, and
what's his name again?
And I think somebody a little while ago might have actually told me what the translation of his name is, and I can't remember what it was. But I have him down on my system as kind of as Tepmar Lebirahob, because that's the way I know that I've got him right every time. So
oh my word.
But trust me, that ain't his name. Okay, so
Oh my word!
That's definitely right.
Oh, listen, we all at APAT would just like to apologise to the player for that pronunciation of his name.
Yeah, which is nothing like what his name is in the slightest.
His name is
Not
something
even
like
close.
Andrew. It's like it's really normal.
Yeah.
And I'm
It's
insane.
It'll be Andrew Smith or something like that. It'll be.
I tell you, it's so funny.
Actually, to be fair, Simon Lawler's normally really good at these.
Yeah,
kind of or Yanni's also very good
is normally
at,
our absolute.
Yanni's our go-to man with this kind of thing.
Oh God, where are we? I'm looking for something here.
But I have no option but to effectively phonetically type it as I would see it, so I've got a record of it, then work it out afterwards. So.
Where is it? Oh my God, I'm not going to be able to find it. Roy Evans, bless his cotton socks, was commentating on a Liverpool Man City under-18 game yesterday.
Was he?
All right.
Yeah, God, and he must be like about 70, going on about 110. And the commentator at one point, City of a young lad who was born in Catford, called Darko something or other, right? So the commentator says his name, and Roy Evans says back, "There's not many ordinary names now, is there, on the City team?" Or whatever he said. You just sharp intake of breath all over Liverpool.
Yeah.
Oh my God, So the club have immediately come out and apologised to the player, to the player's agent, to the player's family. To Manchester
Anybody that's
City
ever met the
Football
player
Club.
and everything, yeah. And
it's like, honestly, just shut your mouth. What are you thinking, you idiot? I have no time for that sort of stuff. Just, crikey, don't.
Yeah, you've
don't
not
talk.
opened that many things there, is it? Yeah.
Don't say anything if you can't figure it out. And you just know it's an age thing, right? It's like it's said in innocence, total innocence. He's saying there aren't many English, but of course the lad is English. He's an English player.
Yeah.
Anyway, detail. It's a generation gone by. I hope it's a generation long gone by.
I think it's I think 99 times out of 100, it genuinely is a generational thing. It's
it is. I don't think he was intended to be racist or anything like that. It's more of a it's a generational thing. It is. It's exactly that.
But we also now live in a world where people are very quick to take offence to
very
that,
true.
But because it's quite hard to know when is something genuinely innocent and when is there's something a little bit more sinister about it. So you can't take a risk. So you have to just come out and apologise to everybody and anybody over it.
Yeah,
even if you weren't offended by it, we'll just apologise.
But I do think the generation, it's not a good enough excuse either, is it? Because I think that's innocent enough. But there are many generational type comments that are less innocent. And, frankly, I just think people need to learn. You can stay out of these corners. If you don't fancy going into them, just listen to what's going on in the world. And I agree, Lee, there's a lot of overreaction. I completely agree.
But I suppose in that situation, he's commentating on a football match. So, you've got to be aware of there's not your surroundings, but you've got to be aware of, the teams, the cult, where we're at. It's with players and everything, and you can't go. He's from I guess from a generation where you pretty much could judge a book by its cover, so to speak. And have a very and 99 times out of 100 it would be fairly accurate. Whereas that we don't live in that world now of. I mean, crikey! Can you imagine if he was trying to work through the minefield of kind of gender and
God above.
And I mean, which is obviously a massive thing now as to where whether it's male, female, or neither, or where people sit. I mean, crikey, you just struggle. It's kind of learning what you should or shouldn't say.
Listen, the main mistake there was giving the man a microphone, right? That was the main mistake in that sort of circumstance. But
but hey, folks, if you want to see the mistake of giving a man a microphone, join us next week where we've got Simon Brooke on the APAT show.
Simon would not make any of those mistakes. I can feel very confident.
There is one
Seriously,
incident
I already take full responsibility for anything Simon's going to say next week.
No.
It's always my fault. I give him the microphone, and I only have myself to blame. So basically, that's okay. But thoroughly looking forward to it anyway. So.
Should be good. Should be good. Well, quietly, guys.
The one thing that does upset me, guys, is the way Alex Scott is treated on social media.
Who?
Alex Scott?
Alex Scott. Poker.
Yeah, do you know the young...
No, footballer. So ex Arsenal.
Oh, the Arsenal lady.
England.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I think her knowledge is second to none on football. She's absolutely phenomenal. And there was all the rumour about she's the Question of Sport presenter and that. And the way she spoke to on social media, the things she puts up with is, well, it's just disgusting, really.
Sorry, you just have to ignore it because it's not real life. Social media is not real life. It just isn't. And there are so many keyboard warriors out there. It's not, you can't.
There's too many people that it's very simple to fall back on they fall back on the kind of what they call the quota argument, isn't it? They just kind of go, oh, well, you're just ticking a box,
Yeah.
Whether it be gender or race or age or whatever it might be. And people are just too easy to do that and say that. I mean, there's some really proper dodgy, pundits, football pundits. We, just talking about football. Yeah. I mean, that I don't necessarily rate, but it's just my opinion of whether I think they're good or bad. And it's nothing to do with their gender or race or age or club they used to play for or anything else for that matter. I mean, I don't particularly find Micah Richards that knowledgeable about the game. He seems to be kind of everywhere at the moment, but that's just kind of my take on it. There's plenty of ex-United players that I think, crikey, how are they still in it or doing a job, really? Because they don't come across, like they know anything. I don't like Graham Souness very much on Sky Sports.
Yeah, same.
Again, I don't quite know how did he escape the last kind of lot of redundancies.
He's obviously got something on them, Lee. He's got something on them.
But obviously. I don't rate it. I just don't rate him very much. I don't think he adds a huge amount to. But actually, I think you're right, Tris. I think Alex Scott seems to do a homework. That sounds right, but seems to take the time to actually not just rock up and just spout any old rubbish. Actually, seems to be knowledgeable about whatever, and that doesn't really matter what club or what the game is or what what level it is she's talking about. Actually, seems to be like she's bothered to actually do a little bit of research, much like we do before we come on the show here. We take our time to understand the guests that we've got on and all that.
Well, is the hand here, guys?
4-7.
4-7's got to take it.
Does over Ace Queen versus Ace Queen.
Nice.
But Alexandra was very much short stat, but gets a treble up anyway. So
that's nice.
So what do we think about Roy Keane then as a pundit?
Oh, he's an odd one, isn't he? I like the controversy that he brings to the game, but he's pretty one-dimensional, isn't he?
Yes, I do you know that's exactly what I was. That's exactly what I was going to say. He's honest and he's great, but you wouldn't want him on every week because basically it would just it would get pretty monotonous. But actually, having him on once in a while to kind of just stir things up and give an honest opinion is not it's not a bad idea. It's not a bad way of looking at it, but you wouldn't want him on much more than that, I don't think.
No. Alexander's all in this hand?
Something like 3-5 off.
Yeah, it's going to have gone. It was
that could be enough to take
so
it.
He's going to have gone on with
It's got 3-9. 3-9.
Oh, but unfortunately,
he's unlucky.
Jack 9 is going to do him there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've played it before. Those are my cards we're talking about right there, Tris. But Rain Man took the pot. Sorry,
he did,
sorry, Tepma. See, I'd have called him Repma.
What, you'd have gone for an R instead of a T?
Yeah.
As long as I know in my head what I'm doing, so I do the
I
same
know.
thing every time, it's
Absolutely.
okay. Then it's then that's all I need to worry about. It works for me. I say I don't really have much of an option. It's a case of I've only got a UK keyboard, so it's What was it? The one I heard earlier on today. Who were they talking about? They were talking about. It was Carragher. Was it Carragher doing the City Leicester game?
Don't like Carragher, if I'm honest.
Was it Carragher doing the City Liverpool? Which game was Carragher doing?
I saw that one.
Didn't hear any of them today, I'm afraid.
I'm not sure whether it was. It was a game that Carragher was doing, or maybe it was doing. But he was talking. I'm sure he was talking about Johnny Evans or something, or maybe it was, or maybe it wasn't. It was John. He was talking about how a centre back would walk into the Man United team at the moment. Like it was an ex, it was an ex-United player. It might have been Johnny Evans he was talking about, and it was just like, what an absolute load of nonsense. Yeah,
he might be right though.
Well, yeah, but possibly, possibly. So players want a break, and the state of play is Yanni is now only 2 more exits away from stealing the MVP. And I think it would be a little bit like stealing. So, yeah.
Well, Nye is out there nervously talking about football. He says Steve McManaman has grown on me a lot. Gary and Jamie are good. Oh, I've lost the whole comment. Let's see if we can get that. Oh, shit. Yeah, the rest of it I didn't get, guys. It's gone.
So Crouch, Peter Crouch isn't great, nor is Hargreaves or even Shearer, to be honest. I think match of the day's got a little bit tiresome.
Well, they've all had to take a pay cut, Lee.
It's Shearer it's like Shearer's like when it was Hansen, wasn't it, back in the day, and it was just like week in, week out with him.
I like bizarrely, I hate to say it, but I think he's leagues ahead of everybody else. Gary Neville. And he plays the game a bit too, right? But he's also pretty honest. But I think he's leagues ahead of everybody else. I like him a great deal.
I could see Gary Neville, chief exec at United someday.
Oh, most definitely. I see he's been made the chairman of the committee responsible for appointing the next PFA chairman. So to replace the current guy whose name escapes me, who's earning like $2.5 million a year.
Taylor. Is Taylor still there? Yeah.
So Neville is the chairman of that select committee to find a replacement for him. So that's good. But I suppose he's spoken strongly on United. I'm very surprised they haven't tried to come in for him at some point. He would have been a really interesting director of football, I'd have thought. So maybe not, selecting the players or anything, but just managing that piece between the board and the football side of.
I don't know how much of the Salford documentary stuff you've seen. Obviously,
lots of it. Yeah, lots of it.
It's lower leagues, but still, kind of the way he seems to handle decision making and an understanding of how you need to to deal with the players and managers, and when you've got to make a decision, you get on and make the decision.
Yeah,
he seems very, from a business point of view, he seems quite focused on, okay, this is what I know when it got to. Obviously, it's difficult when you're looking in and it's not you in that hot seat making that decision. And obviously with United, you have a slight difference as well, as you've got shareholders you need to report to as well as just owners. It's it's obviously kind of a hybrid situation that you need to deal with there, because they're floated on the New York Stock Exchange, aren't they? So so they've got to report back to them, even though the Glazers are obviously majorities.
But I think you'd look at somebody like Neville, and this is not a good comparison. Bear that in mind when I make it. But I think Neville could step in at Man United and have a not massively dissimilar sort of effect than the one that Klopp had at Liverpool. In that, I think the fans would respect him. I think he exudes authority. He's got really good knowledge. He's got a ton of good common sense. And if you come back to Klopp, that's what he has too. That's his thing, right? He's a good
Yeah, yeah. No, I
communicator,
completely
and
agree.
everything is just common sense. It's not rocket science. He's not out to impress anybody. I think Neville could do that, in a very big way at United. And I think he's a decision maker. I think he'd be quick to see stuff going wrong, and he'd be quick to actually get involved and try to fix it. And I suspect he'd work all of the hours that God sends to get it right. So, he could be one of the few people that you sense would make a difference. But of course, the little
always
period...
feels like he does. Yeah, he just feels like he does the right thing. I mean, even take during the lockdown with the hotels that they've.
Yeah, he
Class
was
of
out there
92
early,
were
right?
involved
Giving his
in.
rooms away and
Straight
stuff.
away, out there early. Let's get the rooms, and did it in a way where actually, when you think about it, you kind of go, well, that was very
mature.
switched on.
Yeah, very mature.
And to just go, and they've done it in the past as well. With there was a property that they had in Manchester somewhere where they were wanting to redevelop, but they were having all sorts of problems doing it. And whilst they were trying to get it sorted so they owned the property, but they were having trouble getting what they wanted, planning and everything on it. They opened it up to the homeless, or it was open to, or they were homeless in there, and so they just decided, well, we're just going to let them stay there and sort it and make it an official thing whilst this is all going through. So it seems very switched on to kind of do the right thing by the community, and Manchester in particular, very similar to the way Vincent Kompany has always been very much made Manchester his home and did so much for the for local, and what Rashford is doing now, even though that's more on a national. Did you see the stuff out about Rashford with people giving him abuse, telling him to focus on his football and all this kind of... I mean,
forget about Twitter. You just can't look at that sort of stuff and take it seriously. You just can't. I wouldn't have looked at Vincent Kompany in any way in the same sort of way as I would of Gary Neville in terms of the package. I think Vincent Kompany was a perfectly nice, really nice guy. And a very decent footballer.
He just did a hell of a lot. For Manchester whilst living there and captaining one of the main clubs. Just thought that you kind of, it's easy for footballers to move to a club, take all the money, and once they're done, move back home or whatever, and not really care about the place they might have been for. I mean, Kompany was there for.
Well, that was the beauty of Kompany, right? He was there sort of a bit before the success, or he was there like right at the start of the success happening. So, he always came across as being very grounded.
Yeah, we're down to 3. Yanni's chip leader, or was chip leader, but there's not a lot between them. They've all got 4 million chips. So
you'd have to say at this point,
nice. Oh, the story I meant to say. I saw this earlier on in the week and was like, had to read it twice to check it wasn't some sort of check the date that it wasn't April the 1st or something. So Ryan Reynolds putting a bid in for Wrexham. What do you make of that, guys?
Yeah, couldn't quite figure it out, to be honest.
But it seems genuine, though. I think it's genuine.
Maybe he read somewhere that it has the oldest ground in Britain, and he thinks, okay, that's historical, or that's a base. I can use that.
It's been going around for a few days, so I think it is actually genuine.
Yeah, no, I think so.
Didn't he visit there once, or knew someone that lived there, or went to a drama school with someone who lived there? There's some sort of connection. I can't remember what though. But I do think it's genuine.
I think is it Ryan Reynolds that you often see kind of at Wimbledon at the the kind of centre court finals? There's a couple of the kind of Hollywood stars that you regularly see in kind of blue suit, matching suits, and they turn up to watch the games well into their kind of well into their kind of British sport. Yanni's all in with ace 4 against
here we
fives.
go. Showtime.
And
has he gone?
He's gonna fall I think he's gonna fall at the final hurdle.
Whoa!
No,
really, Yanni?
I think.
Do the maths.
We're just gonna do the maths now and work it out. But
that's incredible.
We're heads up in squads now, and I think Yanni might have just blown it in 3rd place.
So we're saying Nye's done the. He's done it, isn't
we think we're just totting up the numbers.
Yeah, just tighten up this spreadsheet has now got to nearly 25,000 lines just on the results thing. It does even with a decent computer powering this, it does take a minute to work it all through. I had to do an update on something the other day because I'd extended it some of the lookup stuff on it, and so I just did I'll do a find and replace. That won't take long. It took about 5 minutes. So what's taken so it had done something like 1.8 million changes. some stupid number. I was like, I might have made this a little bit complicated. Yeah. So it's just.
So while you're doing that, the man of the moment, Aniran, says it's going to the members this week. This would be, I guess, the offer to buy the club from Reynolds.
Yes, because the members own Wrexham, don't they? Yes,
well, and it's Squidor's the university, right? I think is part of the ownership structure as well. So the members apparently, or the actors apparently want to put in £2 million. But we'll be doing documentaries, etc., on their sort of lives as Wrexham try and get back into the Football League. I think they'd be better off giving that £2 million to Simon Brooke with a small camera and just some insects in the back garden. He will make more money for them than Wrexham will. Honestly, I've been to see Wrexham as Ninos many times. It's never been a good season.
Oh, action.
Here we go.
Queens versus Ace Queen.
The Queen's going to take
an
it.
ace for Graham, and he's not going to get
That's
it. So that is going to be that done.
Wow.
Tetman Librahob.
Excuse me?
Tetman Librahob. He won.
So how are you pronouncing that? Just yeah.
Tetman. Is it Librahob?
How far of a stretch to Pac-Man?
That's what I go with myself because it's just easier to work it out that way. But as I say, somebody will tell us actually what the translation is, and we apologise in advance considerably for him as a person, a poker player, his nation, and anything else that we can think of. Because, but to be fair, I've been doing this now for 25 weeks of just basically completely screwing up some different spellings of players' names. So
tell us, Lee. Have we got some results?
So well done to Graham Pound for second place finish there as well. Cracking effort from Graham. So yeah, so Nye hangs on.
Whoa!
In the MVP for the week by 4 points.
That's a big win. That's a big win.
Yanni needed a top two finish. Unfortunately, doesn't get it. I was quietly rooting for Nelly Gascoigne, who was second going into this, but she's going to end up third in the MVP for the week.
Good job, Nelly. Good job.
But a cracking effort from her. And the guys from the lockdown crew are going to be game week 25 winners. So Danny Weaver, Pete Wigglesworth, Graham Pound, and Marion Gurry. Well done to the four of you. Four Nations guys are in second spot for second week in a row. So we'll get some more tokens to you guys. They'll all go into people's accounts this week because next weekend, Des, it is a medal weekend. Friday, fantastic. Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So it's Pot Limit Omaha on the Friday. It's No Limit Hold'em, 8 max on the Saturday. It's the Sunday Roller is a medal event on the Sunday. And then on the Monday night to conclude, it's Pot Limit Omaha High-Low.
Fantastic. That's a great weekend in prospect by the sound of it. Listen, Lee, it's not all over. Kev O'Hanlon, right? He's come back with a late turbo, as it were. He said, I think he means Yanni, gets added value as Nye has second in team. So Nye's team was second.
Yes, yeah, no, that
right?
will be, yeah, yes, he will get, so he will get one token, yes.
Oh, fantastic. Well, listen.
For runner-up in the MVP, yeah.
Big well done to Nye on his win. That's been a long time coming. Well done, Nye. To Yanni, of course, for second. Nelly for third. What a great run.
Yes, yeah.
Right? Incredible stuff. That's us done, guys, for another week. We will say a big thank you to Tris, who was great company tonight. Thank you, Tris.
Thanks again, guys. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. We will do this again at another point, I'm sure. We would certainly love to do so. And a big thank you to you guys out there who have both shared your homes with us tonight and had the pleasure of having Lee and I, the slightly grayer Lee and I, in your homes to keep you company. That was great for us. Have a good week, and we will be back to see you in season 2, episode 2.
Des.
Yeah.
Just before you go,
Oh yeah.
I wish you the very best of luck for next week. All right.
For next week. He's wishing us the best of luck for next. I'm lost. What's happening next week?
It's only Simon Brooke on the show. I mean,
It's Simon Brooke. It'll be fine. I'm looking forward to having Simon Brooke on. It'll be good. We just need
It'll be an absolute blast.
We just need to not have him insulting nations. Is that what we're saying, Lee?
Pretty much.
It'll be fine. I don't think that'll be a problem.
Yeah. Enjoy your poker for the week, guys. Don't forget, you can play 7 o'clock with APAT every night of the week, 8 o'clock poker squads, Sunday roller all week as well. We've also got the 8:30 satellite to win a $33 ticket for next weekend. If you want to get in and support some of those, there's a guaranteed ticket every night at 8:30. Needs 3 runners to start. They only start if you guys play them. Simple as that. So get in, reg them, support them, get yourself a ticket for next weekend, and you can play whichever event you want. And if anything else, have a look at the daily legends on Party Poker that Rich Prue's promoting quite heavily at the moment in their community. They've got some great tournaments running. There's about probably 8 or 9 different ones during the day with some added value and bits and pieces. So get on and support those guys as well if you can. Enjoy your poker, and we'll see you next weekend.
Fantastic. Thanks, Lee. Okay, night, everyone.
See you, boys.